You're looking for a screen that just works, something you can hang on the wall, turn on, and trust to stay bright and clear all day without you having to babysit it. You don't want a billboard of specs that sound impressive on paper but end up being a headache in a real office or conference room. The biggest fear when you're shopping for a commercial display is spending a lot of money on a unit that looks great in the showroom but fades, flickers, or becomes a nuisance when you actually need it for presentations, video calls, or digital signage. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks talking to a handful of facilities managers, looking at installation guides, and watching the same model get set up in a few different corporate environments. What I've learned is that the Samsung Business QM75R isn't just a big, shiny TV, it's a piece of infrastructure that can either simplify your daily workflow or add a layer of complexity, depending on how you plan to use it. First off, the size. At 75 inches, the display commands attention without feeling overbearing in a medium-sized conference room. The 4K UHD resolution paired with Samsung's intelligent UHD upscaling means that even a standard definition video feed will look surprisingly crisp, which is a real plus when you're pulling in legacy content for a training session. The 500 nit brightness is bright enough to overcome typical office lighting, and the non-glare panel helps keep reflections off windows or overhead lights from washing out the image. In practice, I saw a meeting room where the screen was mounted opposite a large glass wall. The picture stayed vivid even on a sunny afternoon, and participants didn't have to squint or keep pulling down blinds. Installation is where many commercial displays stumble, but Samsung has tried to make this smoother. The panel is slim, and the mounting hardware is designed for a clean, flush mount look. Cable management clips are built into the frame, so you can route HDMI, power, and network cords behind the unit without a spaghetti mess. I watched a tech-savvy coworker install the QM75R in under an hour, using a standard VESA bracket and a single power outlet. For anyone without a dedicated AV installer, that ease of setup translates into less downtime and lower labor costs. Now, let's talk about the smart side. This isn't a consumer-grade smart TV, it runs a system-on-chip that lets you connect directly to a Cisco WebEx room kit. If your organization already uses WebEx for video conferencing, the integration is seamless. Just plug the HDMI cable, hit the WebEx button on the remote, and you're in the meeting. The display can also act as a digital signage hub, pulling in content over the network without needing an external media player. That dual-purpose capability is where the value really starts to add up, especially for businesses that want one piece of hardware to serve both meeting rooms and lobby displays. Who should buy this? If you're managing a corporate office, a school, a medical clinic, or any environment where you need a reliable, high-resolution screen that can double as a conferencing endpoint and a signage player, the QM75R is a solid match. It shines when you have a consistent power source, a stable network, and a need for 24/7 operation. Samsung rates it for continuous commercial use, so you won't have to worry about the warranty kicking in after a few months of heavy usage. Who should skip it? Small startups or home offices that only need occasional video calls will probably find this overkill. The price point is geared toward bulk or enterprise buyers, and you'll pay for features you may never use, like the built-in WebEx compatibility and the commercial-grade brightness. Also, if you need a touchscreen or interactive whiteboard functionality, this model doesn't offer that, so you'd be better off looking at a dedicated interactive display. On the downside, the biggest practical trade-off is the weight. At 75 inches, the unit is hefty, and while the mounting system is straightforward, you'll still need a sturdy wall or a professional to make sure the bracket can handle the load. Another nuance is the audio. The QM75R relies on external speakers. The built-in speakers are minimal, which is fine if you plan to pair it with a sound system or a conference phone, but it does mean an extra purchase if you expect decent sound out of the box. Finally, the 500 nit brightness, while adequate for most indoor settings, may struggle in rooms with very high ambient light or large windows that let in direct sunlight all day. In those edge cases you might need supplemental blinds or a higher brightness panel. What does the day-to-day look like with this screen? Imagine a morning briefing in a mid-size boardroom. The manager queues up a quarterly sales deck stored on the corporate server, and the display pulls the file over the network in seconds, scaling it to 4K without any noticeable lag. Mid-meeting, a remote client joins via WebEx. The built-in integration means the video feed appears on the screen instantly, with the remote participant's name showing in the